to our Shitballs podcast. I'm Andy Thompson. Joining me are our usual suspects, Jordan Weir and Becca Thompson. How are we doing? You all right?
All right.
Yeah, not too bad. We're one down at the minute. One couldn't get out of work, wanted to earn more dough, get it pizza dough. Nah, but well, someone's
One's
got to
coming
crack.
and one's going.
Yeah, someone's got to crack some crap jokes before he gets here. So
Well, yeah, he'll probably be here in the next segment when we'll substitute Becca for Dan. Some will say it might go downhill from there, but we'll see.
It's pretty
We'll
rubbish substitution, that.
Speaking of door, though, a massive thank you to our main sponsor, Santa Marina, Italian Takeaway and Deli.
I like what you did there, Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, you like that? You
I
set
like
them up,
that.
yeah, I'll knock them down. So, Challenge Cup draws out now as well, isn't it? Some tasty fixtures there.
There is, isn't there? Yeah, 5 of our local sides involved. Don't get to say that all too often. Obviously, mainly, obviously West Cumbrian based, apart from obviously Barrow, obviously in there as well. But a couple of interesting ties, couple of tricky ties for the community sides, isn't it? Maryport in the competition this year, they've got to go to Crossfields, the Warrington based outfit, and then Wathbrow's got to go to West Bowling. You'd imagine the Brow should have enough for West Bowling. And then in case of that, obviously Maryport, Crossfields, early season, pre-season essentially for both of them would have been played, I think, is it the weekend of the 11th to the 12th. So it'll be interesting. And if Maryport get through, they've got a cracker of a tie. Haven't they, Andy?
Oh, they have. We like I said, we like to host all the West Cumbrian teams early in the season, don't we? So,
I've noticed this.
Yeah, if they can get to... Well, big crowds and all that, isn't it? But yeah, they get to come to Barrow Raiders, and hopefully that'll be a good day out, and hopefully they can make it that far as well. Be great.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, so full recap on the draw. So as we mentioned there, Crossfields welcome. Maryport's got to go to Crossfields. Wathbrow go to West Bowling, and then in round 2, a couple of either-ors. So we've mentioned it there already. Barrow host either Crossfields or Maryport. And then it's a trip to either Murfield or the Navy for Workington, for John Gawley's side. An all League One affair for Whitehaven as they'll host Swinton, which is also their first home league game in League One as well. So a bit of an early show in there. And then if Wathbrow are able to get past West Bowling, they get the very easy trip of going to the now Craig Lingard's Sheffield Eagles. So it'll be a tough one going to the Olympic Legacy Park. It's bad enough going in there in the middle of summer and grazing your knee. Never mind going there when it's going to be minus 10 in Sheffield. So, there's some tasty ties there. Obviously, but Barrow's obviously got, you'd say, the easiest, going up against 2 amateur sides. But obviously, Workington potentially getting an amateur side or the Navy there as well. But they're going to have to travel sort of with that. And then obviously the all League One tie between Haven and Swinton, very early doors. Be interesting to see what Anthony Muddy does for that, whether he treats it as a pre-season game or does he want to try and get into round 3 and get that potential Super League side at home? Because of course, if you join against the Super League side in round 3, you get your guarantee to be at home against the Super League side. So as long as it's not, Huddersfield or Salford, who isn't going to bring too many, you want it to be your Wigan or your Leeds or your St Helens, don't you? So be interesting to see on that one if who is going to get through to round 3 out of our sides.
So you touched on it there with the fixtures. The first 2 games are out for Whitehaven, which you've touched on there. Swinton away, and then at home to Keighley. Some tough fixtures there to start off the season for yourself, Jordan.
Oh, I said first home fixtures. No, I meant first fixture. Some tough ones, and I've been able to catch up with Anthony Murray this week, haven't I? Which we'll hear shortly. And I asked him about that, and he said it doesn't really make a difference. You've got to play everyone at least, home and away. But yeah, it's a tough start, isn't it? Side that you come down with, and they're probably going through a similar thing to Whitehaven in terms of their rebuilding. Obviously, it was probably wasn't to be expected. We were recording that Sunday night, weren't we, when Swinton and Hunslet were playing, and we were all shouting for Hunslet, and then I was thinking, oh no, that means I've got to go to Swinton next year. But I think they're going through some rebuild in terms of numbers. Paul Wood, the fetching in as head coach, which I thought was a bit left field. But yeah, no, so they're probably going through, and Muzza said that as well, they're going through similar to Whitehaven in terms of they're probably not where they expected to be, Swinton, this season. They probably expected once they were going into that playoff to be safe, and 80 minutes of rugby league later they weren't, and they were having to plan on League One. So I imagine plans change very quickly And so, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how them goes. Obviously, both clubs will have had Challenge Cup fixtures against each other, but then 1895 Cup fixtures, a couple of pre-season outings before that game there as well. So they should be ready to go for that. And then Keighley, he's just Keighley, isn't he? Top of, expecting them to be pushing top of the league. Everyone expected them to be in that playoff when Hunslet were, and obviously they couldn't get the job done against Hunslet. So I'd imagine that'll be a job for Jake Webster and his side now to, essentially do what Oldham done last year, I'd imagine. Obviously, it's going to be slightly different because they've got the middle eights in League One and the bottom of the Championship this year if you're looking to get it. So they're going to have to go up against some established Championship sides if they want to get promoted. But yeah, you probably couldn't get too much tougher fixtures early doors.
Yeah. And Town as well, they're at home to Cornwall and away to their playoff rivals who knocked them out was the Midlands Hurricanes as well. And then Barrow have got a bit of a tricky start as well. At home to Hunslet, who've just come up, so they'll have a bit of momentum. And then away to Halifax, who are probably going to be another weird team again this season.
Yeah, just looking at Town there, first of all. I think home to Cornwall, was it? And then away to Midlands. So, yeah, I mean, I've just put a post on about Workington, and I think they're going to be looking, probably going to be looking to be challenging that top of the table, aren't they? So this is going to be, they'd expect, and I'm sure with John Goli, he'll probably expect 2 from 2. I know, with a good few months out from it, but he's probably expecting 2 from 2, especially at home to Cornwall. You probably couldn't get, and I say this touch wood, you probably couldn't get an easier start. At least you're not having to go to Cornwall at the start of March. You get to go, you get to welcome them up here, and they get to make that journey early into the season. And yeah, Midlands. I mean, obviously they've signed well, but they'll. I'm sure John, Town have signed a lot there who've got championship experience, as we mentioned previously. So yeah, I'm sure John Goli will be targeting 2 from 2 early doors, and then tough couple of fixtures for the Raiders. First up, Andy and Becca.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping, and I don't want to sort of piss the bank on the arse, but Hunslet would be our winnable one. Halifax, like we said, don't know what they're going to be about this year. I think they were there for the taking for us in both fixtures, home and away. Obviously, we touched on what happened on the away game with the controversy with the red card for the substitute, and then the home game. I think in the last say 15, 20 minutes, I think we threw it away when we were quite comfortable. So yeah, hoping for a positive start for us. By you, Becca?
Yeah, I just think they're just such a random team, Barrow, aren't they? Like, as much as it's just so random. Like, you could get the easiest game of the season as your first game, and they probably get beat, but then they'd beat like Toulouse at home. Also, it's so random. Like, they just have these little spells, and some games they turn up for, and some games it can be a bit like. I don't know if it's complacency thinking, oh, we're going to win this one because they're not that good. And then it obviously falling a bit back on you. I don't think that's how any player would think, but maybe that's just kind of a natural reaction, I guess, when you've watched a team. But yeah, I don't know. It's just so weird. Like I feel like Barrow are always one of them teams you just don't know how they're going to be until you've watched them play the first few games, because even in the friendlies, they just took out a lot of like trialing players as well usually. So even that, you can't really take much from that, because it's like, I think every club friendlies, it's a bit different. And even watching, like, I'd say Helens have got a testimonial. Morgan Knowles is playing against Salford, St Helens, and even that, like, Salford will probably beat St Helens in that, because they do just chuck the youngsters out and try and get them a game, and that's what Cresta likes to do quite a lot in the friendlies, and I like that, but it just doesn't give you an accurate reflection at all on what the season's going to be like. And it is literally them first few games, you watch them and you're like, we're either going to be good, bad, or just kind of sit at that middle ground.
It'll definitely be interesting to see them new faces getting blooded as well for the club. So earlier in the week or late last week, I set us all a bit of homework, where it'd be a case of we'd set a sort of a dream 13 up for our team. So for yourself, John, it'd be Whitehaven. For me, Dan and Becca, it'd be Barrow. And I sort of put some on the Work at Town forum as well to ask for their sort of dream 13. But for us, we'd have to witness them play, and they purely have to be made out of Cumbrians as well. So we had a bit of a struggle with this, didn't we? A bit of back and forth.
And it had to be from the years, yeah, like you say, witnessed and play. Some people might not understand that, Andy. So it had to be from the years we started supporting Barrow, because Obviously, people might not know, I'm a bit younger than these guys. So I've only started supporting Barrow since 2010. And as I was saying, Jared Stack's pretty much been the 12 for Barrow in that whole time, and he is not Cumbrian. Well, I would say he's probably Cumbrian at this point, but he is not from Cumbria. So
If
I
you ignore
really
the
struggled with
accent,
my
yeah.
team. Yeah, I really struggled.
So should we go into Becca's team? And what
Oh,
we've done as well, for the sake of YouTube as well, which, get yourselves over there, we've done a nice little PowerPoint presentation, haven't we, really? Because I've got no life. I'm just,
That
before you put it on, can I just say, have
no,
you put it on already?
it's
I
coming up in a
don't
minute.
want any beef, right? On these forums, on Facebook, I don't want any of your beef, right? I don't care. Okay? This is my opinion, and I'm right.
So go on, then, Becca, talk us through it.
Right, so obviously at number one, we've got Gary Broadbent. Needs no explanation. Lovely Cresswell as a player, but Gary Broadbent, when I watched him, he was just iconic. And I'm going to say that you've got to remember when I started watching them, 2009 time was like prime Barrow Raiders time. So there is going to be a lot of players that were kind of in that period because that's when
All
we
I'm
were.
hearing is here, you saw us win the league and that, and then you sort of just jumped on the bandwagon from there.
It was Mr. Mossop. It was all his fault. He was like, "Come on, get down," and I was like, "Okay." And they won, and I was a good luck charm. And now,
Yeah, you're that much
oh,
of a good look. It all went downhill from when you started
yeah.
supporting.
And then number
some
two,
to be fair though, something else might have happened why it started going downhill, but let's not go into it.
Nah,
yeah,
Becca's
that wasn't
fault.
my fault.
I don't know what you're on about, Jordan.
I did get the person who kind of to sign my shirt though, so maybe it was my fault. Maybe I jinxed that as well, but we'll never know. um, yeah. So obviously Gary Broadbent. I mean, there's not really much needs to touch on him. Absolute legend. You know, what a player. Now his son's obviously following in his footsteps, and Luke's down at Barrow now, so it's great to see him kind of carrying on his dad's sort of legacy. Don't know if I can say he's as good as his dad, but hopefully
Not
Luke
yet.
watches
Yet.
Not
and
yet.
listens. Number two, I've got James Nixon in his prime, and I say in his prime, which is before he broke his hand live on telly at Lee, because after that, he just kept he wasn't the same player after that. He was brilliant, and he was Super League standard, and we played Lee away, and it was live on telly, and he went outside and broke his arm. It was absolutely disgusting. And then he came back from injury, started to get back into it, was really getting there, and then we were at Halifax away, and it was right in front of me and my dad, and he literally, I think he like tore his calf or he did something to like ACL, MCL sort of area, and that was like pretty much it for him. He was kind of like injury prone at that point, bless him. But what a player he was! I mean, Super League standard by a mile. He's one of Barrow's best wingers that I've obviously ever seen play, and that was in them good old days. Number three, give him a little shout out. Ryan Shaw, seen him in Home Bargains tonight, B&M Bargains. He was getting some cheap Christmas presents. I said to him, I'll be talking about you tonight, and then I specified on the podcast. And he got to include him just for his kicking. He's not that good at anything else, but
Christ.
Is that including buying Christmas presents?
I'm only joking. Yeah, to be honest, what I've done with my team is I've, people might not think these are the best players, but I've put them up because I'd really want to see the partnerships that they bring. So I kind of want to, I think these players would play best together. So I've kind of gone off that as well as best players. So yeah, Ryan Shaw, like I say, purely, I mean, his kicking abilities is absolutely unreal. But yeah, just as a player, he works well as a team player, and he does everything he can. Um, Number four, my favourite ever Barrow Raiders player. To this day, I still love him. He is my favourite person. Bought me a drink on a night out as well, and I was like starstruck. Is Liam Harrison? He also he knows my dad, so it was honestly, it was the first player I ever saw when I went to Barrow Raiders game when I was 9, and I was literally like, I love this guy. I love him so much, and yeah, I was his biggest fan for years. And he was visiting his nan at at the home that she was in, and my friend got him to sign a ball while he was there. So now I look back at that, I feel quite bad. I feel like that's a bit stalkerish, but yeah, I was absolutely obsessed with it. So yeah, poor Liam. Sorry, my cat's just come in for this segment in the background.
It's all right.
He
Is that what
he
keeps
loves
opening
Liam
your
Harrison
door?
as
'Cause
well.
I didn't want to point out. I thought you had a ghost or something at one point with your door open and closing in the background. I thought, oh, I'm not going to tell her.
Honestly, see, he loves Liam Harrison as well as much as me, so he came in just to jump in on that one. Yeah, but as a player, obviously started to prove himself after kind of like 2010 time, then became the captain ultimately of Barrow. And, it's kind of in his blood, in his family's blood, that he's going to be a good player. And yeah, he was just an absolute monster. He was a brilliant player. And yeah, as much as I love him, he was just such a great player as well. And I'd like to see that kind of partnership as well. And I think him and Ryan Shaw would be absolutely hilarious on each centre. It would just be crackers. Number 5, obviously, I had to have my friend in here, T. Ritson.
Oh,
He has
friends.
got to be
Oh, friends. Rugby friends. Oh,
rugby
friends.
friends. He's obviously got to be one of the best wingers ever at Barrow. Obviously, his partnership with Hakeem was brilliant, and he was just a sensational player for the Raiders when he was there. Hopefully, maybe back in the future at some point. You never know. Kind of see a lot of players return to the clubs that they played at a lot, but yeah, what more can you say about him? He's just brilliant, and he's probably one of the most current that I have. Well, not actually, but he is one current player that I do have in the team because he's just absolutely smashed it. And I said that, and my dad said, "But he's not from Cumbria." So yeah, that went down well with the family.
Honestly, I mean,
Right.
to be fair, he was born in Thailand, but then he grew up in Maryport, so we'll give you that, Becca. Go on. I know. We had to scop a couple out of your team, but we'll give you that one.
In Becca's defence, he's represented Cumbria.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy. That's why I'm happy to give you.
Honestly, you know I struggled with this. There's barely any Cumbrians that I've played in my time.
Well, that's
Can I
because
put Andy
Barrow's in
Mallard
Lancashire.
I'm not from Lancashire. I was born in Cumbria. I'm not as old as Andy and Dan. This is my point.
Oh, I'm not. I wasn't even born in Barrow or Cumbria. I was born
Oh,
in
yeah,
myself
true.
when I saw it.
He's a soft southern guy. So
Aye.
as I put in the
Squaddy brat one
the
up.
other day.
Yeah, so we haven't even got any arguments in.
Go on, Becca.
Right. Number 6, Liam Campbell. And the best memory I have of Liam Campbell is when he scored against Whitehaven, right in the faces. Me and Dad were the only one in the away end because it was raining so hard. Every Barrow fan had evacuated to under the shelter. Me and Dad were stood there, and he nearly jumped over that massive wall behind the 6 to high five us because we were absolutely buzzing when he scored. He is an absolute legend, and it's so funny. And one of the main reasons I put him here is because my next pick is Ryan Johnson, and I think them two on the pitch together would be absolutely mental. It would be hilarious.
Gobshite Central.
Yeah.
You're missing a Cumbrian legend in there as well at halfback.
No, I don't think so.
Which Cumbrian legend are you meaning? Bear in mind, she didn't start watching till like 2010. He didn't play that long, did he? Was he still knocking around then?
He couldn't kick after 2010. Couldn't kick against me. That's why he's not in the team. Hatred.
Into the forehead. Go on.
So, yep, Darren Holt, you're not in the team. Get over it. So, Cammy and Ryan Johnson, them two partnership, absolutely brilliant. I'd just love to see that. I just think it'd be hilarious. I want Cammy, come on, come back for a game. Put your boots on. Have a game with Jono. Let's see. Number 8, obviously got to have big bad Brett McDermott, absolute monster. We'll always remember him punching people in scrums on telly. That was quite cool. Always an absolute monster. Obviously retired from the sport a bit earlier than I think everyone would have liked him to. But yeah, he's massive. He's a beast, and one of the nicest guys you'll meet as well. Out of rugby, he's just such a genuine guy. But yeah, he was just huge for Barrow. And yeah, I used to walk when I used to walk in crowds, I used to get freaked out, and my dad said, "Just walk like Brett McDermott." I used to walk around going People would stare at me. My dad's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Walking like Brett McDermott." So he was my saviour when I went to large cities. So he's obviously got to be included. Number 9, no one else can fill this position. Sorry, it's got to be Mr. Mossop, and I've put Mr. Mossop because that's his name to me. He was my teacher in school, and in 2009, he said, "You should all come down to Barrow Raiders and watch because me and my other teacher at the time, who played for Barrow, were playing. I should all come watch." I dragged my dad down, and I've been there ever since. And Mr. Mossop, not only was he my inspiration to rugby, obviously he's an absolutely incredible player and just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. And I had the pleasure of doing his testimonial year with him, which was great to be asked to do that. And it was just brilliant. And yeah, he's just such a great player as well. And you can see that on the pitch and off the pitch. And he just fit in with the team really well. And he can just slot into any team as well, which is kind of what you want when you're making a team like this as well. Number 10, right? Oh, sorry. I've gone for somebody a bit rogue that you guys haven't gone for. I've gone for Jamie Butler because I just think he's an absolute workhorse. Like, I want someone on my team that is just going to, he's one of them guys that when he was in his prime, he could have just done 80 minutes for you and just put an absolute stint in for the team. He worked hard for the team, and maybe some other props he's compared to them, but I just think he was an absolute workhorse, and he did everything for Barrow. It's like heart and soul was always in that team. You could see when we lost, he was gutted. He was just a brilliant
Massively underrated player. Massively underrated player.
Hugely. Yeah, he's a great player. And yeah, he's absolutely hilarious as well. But yeah, I would have him in my team any day, and I'd love to see him in that team and making an impact. And I think he'd be a real leader in that sort of team as well. So yeah, for me, I had to include him. Like you say, massively underrated and probably someone that a lot of people would overlook. But as soon as I was picking props, he was one of the first that came to mind, other than Brett. Right, number 11.
All right, before you go there, right, he's an outside back. I'm not having any of this.
Right. What I'm saying is the Eagle, he can play anywhere. You give that man a shirt and he'll do what he can, right? Mike Backhouse, you're my number 11, right? Because Backy is the OG Eagle, and Ryan Shaw will argue with this. I'd love to see him and Ryan Shaw on a pitch again together, but I couldn't think of an 11, and I just said, Backy, utility player, you coming in? So yeah, that's all I have to say on that one. He'll love it. He'll be absolutely buzzing with that. He played, yeah, and my dad was telling me a story about him because he knows Backy quite well, and he was saying like he played a week. Where did he used to play? Amateur club, Backy.
Ruse, I think it was.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, he played at Ruse, and the week after he played for Barrow against Wigan. Like, it was so random. Like, he's absolutely, honestly, he's crazy. Like, he's such a funny guy, but he is absolutely nuts. So I feel like he would play 11. He'd do what he could. Number 12, Ben Harrison. Again, like I say, I did struggle quite a lot with my 11, 12 and 13 positions, but obviously didn't really get to see a lot of him. But again, I have gone off kind of like partnerships I would like to see in the team if it was a possibility. And I'd like to see him and Liam together. Obviously, that would be quite a nice thing. Watch them do a union game together when they did a charity game, and they gelled quite well. So yeah, I think it'd be a good squad. And obviously, this is me thinking about these players in their primes. So he was more in his prime at Warrington. So we'll take that. We'll take his Warrington prime.
Cheat.
Hey, you got to bend the rules. As I said, can I not have Morgan Knowles? Because in the future, he's coming to Barrow. Let's just all think this.
No.
And then 13, got to go with Dantle. Again, he's just one of them like workhorses. He'll just keep going and going and going through any injury. It's a shame that we've not seen him, obviously recently, and he has had a few injuries. And he's just such a great player. And when he is fit and when he can be fit, he does a lot for the team. And he is kind of like a solid member of the team as well. And I've always rated down, and again, an absolutely lovely, genuine person. You know, one of the first players to come and speak to me when I was at the club and playing down at the club, and he was always really, nice to everyone. But yeah, obviously he's had a big impact at the club, and I think he'd be a great person in that team that I've made. So yeah, that's my team. If you don't like it, don't listen.
No, do listen. Just ignore Becca's opinion.
Yeah. We'll take that. We'll take that.
Before we let you go, Becca, I want a kangaroo court nomination off you because you copped out of it last week.
Does it have to be a recent one? Like something that's happened in the last week?
You know what? I'll let you have it. Go on.
Right. Well, I'm saying it then. Darren Holt, right? Because I've never forgiven him ever. Right. I've seen him on nights out. We've had drinks, right? He probably don't even remember, but I tell him every time I see him. There was a charity do at Raiders when he was back at the team kicking, and he'd just come back from an injury. And I said to him, "We'll chuck money in the charity box, and me and you will have a kick off." And he pulled the old, "Oh, I've got a bit of an injury in my leg at the moment, so I can't risk it. So I'll never forgive him, and that is why he's not in my team."
I
So
think that's a modest way of not crushing a young lass's dreams. You know what I mean? Just been a gentleman about it and that. And you're kicking him to the curb here.
Hey, I would have beat him. I'll tell you that right now. So yeah,
that's two things she's wrong on. That and her team.
That's my old kangaroo car, and my new kangaroo car is that you made me do it with Cumbrian players, the team, right? Because Barrow's a
Fancy
Cumbrian
doing
team.
it on a Cumbrian-based podcast there.
No,
how dare we?
Barrow is a Cumbrian team.
Absolutely fuming that we won't let her put Andy Ballard in the team.
Literally, I'm
Seb Louisi, Short was wanting Stacky. She was basically wanting that 2019 where there was about one Cumbrian in it.
Zeb Louisi,
which was Gary Broadbent.
We had Liam Campbell at the time as well.
They're not Cumbrian.
Yeah, but Barrow's a Cumbrian team and they played for Barrow, so I should be allowed it. Plus, Jared Stack is basically Cumbrian at this point.
Apart from the fact he's a Kiwi. Or does he,
but
whichever one
he's lived in Cumbria for like ages.
He's not lost the accent,
in
has he?
Australia,
that gives it away.
Huh?
He's still got the accent, hasn't he? So, like, that's the biggest telltale sign off
the
bat.
Yeah, but, right, my argument is, and this is valid, if you live in, like, Australia for 7 years, you get given your Australian residency, and he's definitely been here longer than 7 years, so he's basically Cumbrian.
I mean, I can't argue with that. He's wrong, but I'm not going to argue.
I'm not arguing with the logic. I get the logic.
See?
It's wrong, but I still can't argue.
It's there.
I wasn't allowed.
With your heart instead of your brain in it, sort of.
No, I just.
She hasn't got a brain to think with.
Yeah, you're so right.
I wasn't allowed the 3 Kiwis at Whitehaven, so you're not allowed Stacky. Deal done. All right.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to try and drop the 3 PNG lads for Barrow into it as well while you're at.
To be fair, I did try and get away with a few, but you guys wouldn't let me. But I tried to sneak them in. I was like, "You're there from Barrow."
What part of Barrow were they from? Port Moresby.
Yeah. What is it like? Like Preston in Auckland or something?
I was going to say, who was it you tried to get in? And who was it? And can I get him in? No, he's from Blackpool. Who was he, Andy?
Bullock, wasn't it?
Joe Bullock?
I can't believe none of you put Joe Bullock in your team. What part of Cumbria is he from, Becca?
I mean, you might be able to see Cumbria from the top of Blackpool Tower, but it doesn't mean it's in Cumbria, Becca.
You can see Blackpool from Barrow, so again, another argument.
A short swim, and yeah, you could class him as Barovian, maybe.
If there was a bridge, it would be part of Cumbria. Let's be honest.
I can see the Isle of Man from Whitehaven. Doesn't make Mark Cavendish Cumbrian. There you go, done.
Oh, I think I'm right. I think we should be able to do it with people from the club.
Becca,
I think the fans would agree.
Becca, have you not got somewhere else to be?
I do. It is 7 minutes past 9. And I want
to be gone by 9.
I'm going to be gone by 9.
I said 5 past, so I'll give you 2 extra minutes of my added time.
Go on then.
But I appreciate
Buy
that.
then before I kick you.
You're going to play with your toy collection when you get back in. When you
Right.
go up there,
Well,
no?
I've come into my front room, so nobody can take the mick out of my toys or what's under my bed or what posters I've got. I can assure you, I've got no posters. The only thing under my bed is bags of Christmas presents. So there's nothing. I'm in a beige background. I've got an owl clock, so if anyone's going to come for me for that, and a cat that's sat there. So if you want to come for me, then do it. I'm so
So
done
no,
with
Who'd
that
said
forum.
that? Who'd said that?
I'm so done with that forum, I'm so done with it.
Right.
Oh, it's great. I love it.
No,
So enjoy
right.
your Katy Perry posters and your crusty sock.
Thanks. I'm going to go play with my toys.
She's not a 12-year-old boy.
I look like one.
See you later, Becca.
Right. Thanks,
Cheers,
everyone.
Becca.
Bye.
So now we're joined by our resident wronger, Dan Payne. Welcome, Dan. about time you joined us, mate.
What an introduction.
Good evening from your resident Roland. I like that one.
You like it, yeah. Might stick with it for you if you want.
What about?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
In future, I want you to introduce me as your local UW rep. Yeah. Yes, it worked. It worked. Good evening, folks. I'm Dan Payne. I'm here all on my own tonight, hosting the second part of this Odd Shaped Balls podcast.
I'm not
Have a look
trusting
at
you.
Andy's dirty laundry in the background.
I'm not trusting you doing anything else.
It's not laundry. It's not laundry. It's courts. I've got sort of. I don't know. It's not. It's always on about my background keeps betraying me. You can't see it now, can you? Like I was doing that the other day. It was working.
Yeah, that just makes you look even more special than what you already are, mate.
What a dick.
Should we move on?
Let's move on. So I've already sort of did the intro bit of the challenge I've set for us, and I also put it on the Work at the Town forum to ask us for their sort of intake. I'll be honest with you, mate. I think we've not insulted anyone. It's a very old team. This I wasn't born before most of these played, so I'm going to rely on you, Dan, because you're the resident fossil for us, aren't you? Really, so you might know some of them.
I'll give it a go. I mean, I reckon Jordan might know a few more than I will, but I'll see. I'll give it a whirl. I don't really watch that much League One. That's all.
Well, to be fair, a lot of these players, right, they're all like ex-GB internationals and all this sort of stuff. So,
Oh yeah, in fact, I do know a few of them. Yeah.
I suppose I better run through them considering I'm the West Cumbrian.
You better have, mate.
I know a few of them. Names ring bells and such things like that.
I was nice enough to put the decades that they were playing as well.
It's a good job. It's a good job, isn't it? But yeah, Paul Charlton, obviously dad of Gary Charlton and granddad of Luke Charlton, who's obviously continued to play. If you've Workington Town is pretty much Paul Charlton. Paul Charlton's pretty much Workington Town. He's an absolute legend of the club. Great British international. So yeah, absolute legend. I hope I'm saying some of these names right. Kevin Papp here. I apologise if I've got it wrong. I really do. Tony Kay in at centre. Paul Penrice and Mark Wallace complete the back line. It's a half-back partnership, a 90s half-back partnership of Steve Weir and Dean Marwood. No relation to myself, Steve. And of course, we had Dean last week, didn't we? So it's a bit ironic that we've got him in the side. And then sort of modern day one, Ollie Wilkes. Did he play for you, Ollie? Did you have him on loan at any point, or did you have him?
He's towards the back end of his career as well, yeah. Yeah,
so he completed the Cumbrian treble then, because we had him at one point. So yeah, it was one of them too. Is that just stuff popping up? My apologies. So yeah, just the last meeting on Zoom converting, because we're cheap and only use 40-minute terms. So Ollie Wilkes a prop, Mark Roskell, Peter Riley starting prop. And then definitely beyond our times, all of our times, I'd say, is Brian Edgar in at second row, Les Gawley in at second row, and a loose forward of Wayne Kitchen. So, yeah, we're not doing Cumbria too good here because none of us know an awful lot about them lot. But obviously, some Cumbrian Rugby League legends in there. Obviously, know quite a few of the names, like, say, Paul Charlton. I know I've heard of Paul Penrice and obviously the halfbacks, Weir and Marwood. Is Ollie Wilkes Cumbrian? Is he?
Yeah,
He
he's from
is.
Ulverston.
Is he?
Mm.
Oh, well, fair dues.
Mm.
Has he played for Cumbria?
I think he is anyway.
Yeah. Oh, well, he's in the side, so we've named him. And then, yeah, like the likes of Les Gawley, yeah. So obviously I've heard of a few of them, but sorry, working to town fans, you've predated all of us there. With majority of us.
And what I will say about I think there's a few replies on there as well. So there's a similar sort of names popping up and that. So some of them will just have to toss a coin, and that's why they're there. Or struggle to find them on the Rugby League records page. So yeah, I've just gone with what I could find because yeah, I'm too young.
I think, to be fair, we based it on our selections based on what we'd seen with our own eyes.
Yeah,
It's quite easy. I mean, I could sit here and pick players like Willie Orn or Billy Luthwaite, but I don't think that was fair because I haven't watched them guys. So I know the Workington one hasn't turned out like that, but we don't have that much knowledge of Workington between us. So that's why we've got the team like that. But there was still a few names in there that we recognise. So fair, and thank you to the Workington fans on the forum for putting them guesses in as well. It's nice to have that communication.
yeah. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
So Jordan, should we go on to yours?
Yeah, should we go on before you two argue all about Barrow? Let's have a look then. We'll get this one up. So, I think we've seen a common theme across all of our fullbacks, haven't we? I think apart from Payne, who's went a little bit rogue on that one, a bit more modern day. But I've started with Gary Broadbent at fullback. What more can I say than what Becca didn't said earlier? Mr. Reliable, Mr. Dependent, fullback. I think he's got the record for the most consecutive competitive appearances for Whitehaven. Was he 83 consecutive competitive appearances, which you just don't see these days, do you? That's pretty much 3 full seasons where he didn't miss a game. Mr. Reliable, safe as houses under a high ball, and absolutely as brave as anything. You wanted him there, and was absolutely gutted when teenage me found out he was going to Barrow and he wasn't going to be at Whitehaven. Absolutely gutted, and still have a hello and a how you doing when I see him now, and it's a bit weird because they say most of these I grew up watching, and now some of them I've had on radio alongside me, so it's a bit strange at times, some of these. But yeah, no, so Gary Broadbent at fullback. On the wings, I've then gone for Craig Calvert and Jordan Burns. Craig Calvert, Whitehaven's leading try scorer. Must be, like I say, one of the modern day legends. Obviously, all of them are going to be obviously modern day, but yeah, one of the modern day legends. Was one of the fastest in rugby league when he signed, and didn't obviously quite have that pace towards the end of his career, did Craig? But as Father Time caught up as he does to all of us, some a bit earlier than others. I never had any speed, so. But yeah, absolute modern day hero was Craig Calvert. Jordan Burns on the other wing, obviously still one that's playing. But yeah, one that come in and grab that opportunity as a young lad, an 18, 19-year-old lad, and like he says, was in his last action in a Whitehaven shirt before he's re-signed, was scoring 4 tries in a Whitehaven shirt, was Whitehaven lifted the League One title back in 2019. So watching him grow up, was scoring tries. Someone who's younger than me, so that ruined that was my rugby league career done once he started breaking into the team. And I finally admitted I wasn't going to be able to play rugby league. I'd agreed a long time before that, but let's just stick to the story. With that, then dropping into the centres, David Seeds and Scott McAvoy. David Seeds, the second highest try scorer for Whitehaven before Craig Calvert overtook him. A modern day legend, really is, and one that I grew up absolute idolising as a kid, and I still have these little bit of a pinch me moments when I look in my, if I'm going through my phone and I see his numbers in my phone. I was like, oh, right, okay. But yeah, so, and I still, I remember when I first worked alongside, I might have stop, it's on commentary, I was like, that's David Seeds, that's one of my heroes there. So yeah, it's just one of them that, I'm in the very privileged position to be working with some of these guys now when we do the work on the radio, and but yeah, one of them that absolutely idolised him, Mr. Whitehaven, Mr. Dependable, probably had and did have opportunities, I imagine, to go and play at Super League and didn't take that and stayed at Whitehaven. Scott McAvoy as well, like I say, more of a modern day one, and even into Andy's dog.
Is that a big step off?
So like Scott McAvoy yet again. I had him in at second row initially. And then I realised I needed some room in my second row was to try and get someone in, so I moved him into the centre. But equally at home at centre or second row was Scott McAvoy. He played, I think, more centred at the start of his career and played, moved into the back row, into the second row later on. So was quite happy to put him in there. But I don't think that back line you can argue with. There's anyone in that back five you could argue with. So I mean that pretty much picked itself. You need to get that dog on.
Come on, Andy. Sort this out. This is live now. Come on. Oh, he's muted himself.
Oh, he's muted himself.
It's me and you.
Moving into the halfbacks, Greg McNally and Carl Rudd. I sort of struggled for this one because I thought, well, Greg McNally I think was an obvious choice. Everyone remembers, who's a Whitehaven fan remembers Greg's debut in alongside Tanny Manahera, who had signed at sort of last minute. It was only his second Whitehaven appearance was for Tanny, but Greg made his debut on the telly against Salford, runaway league leaders, or expected to be runaway league leaders, and scored a hat-trick on telly in front of the Sky cameras on a Thursday night after being in sixth form earlier in the day. You just couldn't write it. You just don't write them things. And then, got his Super League move. Didn't quite work out for him initially at Huddersfield, but then later got the move to Leigh and absolutely ripped the championship up. First of all at half-back and then later on at full-back. Had a loan spell at the Raiders, I think, one season as well while he was at Huddersfield. So, definitely qualifying for the Cumbrian 13 is Greg. And Carl Rudd, yet again, another one who I sort of watched growing up, and there's been better half-backs than Carl Rudd. There's nothing against Carl, but he was one of them. He was dependable. Goal kicker. His kicking game was on point. And, equally at home in the halves or at 13. And I think I looked through one season set of stats and, he played all three within like consecutive games. He went to 6, he went to 7 and then had a game starting at 13. So it was quite equally home in any way he needed him to. And it was really when I was doing this, I thought, we haven't actually had a lot of Cumbrian halves. So there wasn't, apart from outside of them two, there wasn't an awful lot to pick from, but two great Cumbrian halfbacks. Moved into the props, Mark Shackley and Carl Edmondson. Shacks grew up, in the reserve setup at Whitehaven, later come to captain the side after his spell down the road. But, grew up and really matured as a rugby league player at Workington and come home and helped captain Whitehaven to that 2019 League One title victory. And then, was a mainstay of the side until he, sort of struggled with his knee later on in the campaign when Whitehaven made in the playoffs in 2021 as well, and was forced to retire due to that knee injury. So, Carl Edmondson. Now, I think yet again, I've had a look. We haven't had a lot of Cumbrian props who I could think who I could could put into it. I think Mark Jackson.
I've got one in my head that you've missed.
Go on.
I think you've missed.
Well, I was thinking, I thought Mark Jackson you could potentially put in there. He's impact off the bench. But go on, who have I missed?
Kyle Amor.
I see where you're coming from, and to be fair, Kyle will probably be my first one on the bench. I just don't think. I've tried to go on with players who've played their best rugby in a Whitehaven shirt. I haven't done what Becca done and used Ben Harrison, and then said, "Oh, well, I've picked him. I picked him on his form at Warrington." And Kyle played very, very well when he stepped up, and obviously got that move to Super League. But I'm just thinking of players who played their best rugby, and I know I've probably gone against myself there by putting Greg McNally in, but I'm just trying to think of players who played their best rugby at Whitehaven. Now, I haven't cheated with Carl, but you may consider it cheating because he is Cumbrian born, but he lived quite a lot of his life in New Zealand. So he's Cumbrian born, so that qualifies him for the criteria. But he come over on a 2-year sort of working holiday so he got 2 years off, I think, from the New Zealand place, and then come and play for a couple of seasons at Whitehaven before returning home. But he's a Cumbrian, so that's where. So I've. So he moved over to New Zealand when he was younger and then come back. So he's Cumbrian, he was born here and played for Whitehaven. But I just think of the impact he made inside some of them teams in that 2 years he was there. He was an absolute wrecking ball. And yeah, so I think that one's probably a bit left field. But yeah, he's
Are we allowing it? Are we allowing this one, Penny?
I'll let him off.
Well,
I know how hard it was to put a Barrow 13 together, so we'll clutch at all them straws.
you let Becca have tea, and he was born in Thailand. So
Yeah, well, I can't say.
I was going to say you can't say out then, can you?
No, I've used them. But he's also represented Cumbria. See?
Yeah, but stop making logical points. I think, and this is where they become a bit tough going into my second rows and my 13. I think we all sort of struggled. It's when I was looking back and Christ, we haven't had a lot of Cumbrians who played sort of second row at loose forward. I kept thinking of, I've missed a hooker. I've got Mr. Hooker. I started going on the props. Before I do that, Carl Seiss at 9. Absolute jack in the box. Mainly come off the bench initially, start his career to replace Aaron Lester, and then when Lester retired, it was himself and Graham Mattinson, and it was probably a bit like that. James Newton's not a million miles away as well, and obviously the services give the Whitehaven, but I just feel like Sicey had, it just had a little bit more to his game, and probably a bit more dynamic as a 9, and like you say, could start the game or come off the bench. But like you say, so one of them players, and yet again, who probably, if he wanted to, and probably because if he didn't work in that big spot down the road where we all glow green, probably maybe you've had an opportunity at Super League at some point, as in, quite a few of these, you imagine will have done. But yeah, so Sicey's in there at 9 for me. Howard Hill, yet again, another one, no nonsense. One I like to have met him down a dark alley. Completely no nonsense, but yeah, one of them would run his blood to water for you, and just like I said, proper give his career for Whitehaven, and then one who's still playing, Connor Holliday, yet again entering into his 11th season as a Whitehaven player, which is crazy when you think about it, considering he's still not 30. Which is, he could have a testimonial, and then technically he could have another testimonial if he carried on playing for another 10 years, and he'd still be short of 40. So he broke into that Whitehaven side really young. Yet again, initially as a centre, but as he's matured and grew into the game, he's made that second row place his own. Bit of a jack of all trades for yourself, as I mentioned. He'll do a bit of goal kicking if you need. He's even kicked a drop goal in his career at Hunslet on a wet, cold Saturday afternoon. So yeah, he's got a bit of everything there, Connor. And then yet again, really struggled with a loose forward, and I've gone a bit renegade on this one. I've put Tom Walker in at 13.
No,
So but like I say, for what he's done across all 3 Cumbrian sides, and obviously he come to us, and in that time he spent at Whitehaven, I know it didn't end the best for him at Whitehaven, but in his time at Whitehaven was an absolute top draw player, and one that was really disappointed we couldn't keep in a Whitehaven shirt. Whatever went on, but was really disappointed. And I don't know if you've probably seen the best of him in a Barrow shirt. I think he's had a few injuries, hasn't he, over the last couple of years. So I don't think you've seen the best of him. But a fit Tom Walker will run right in the Championship, as we've seen in that in the spell at Whitehaven when he did in 2021. So yeah, I see that's my Whitehaven 13. I can't think of a Cumbrian coach to go with it, mind you. I'd have to go, as a Cumbrian coach to go with it in my time, I'd probably have to go Gary Charlton in terms of what he did in 2019 and then 2021. So yeah, that would be my 13, and Gary Charlton as a coach to go with it.
Decent.
Well done,
Perry,
John.
do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I'll give it a go if you want. You have to put my team up though. I have made changes since, but we'll go through.
No, it's not then.
Oh,
no,
what do you mean you've made changes since?
You're sticking with what's on that screen.
I've got explanations. All right.
No. Cheating. Because not all of us can go and reach out to Cumbria's head coach, ask for advice either, Dan, can we? Oh, Paul, Krista, can you help me with my team?
Listen, I'll go through my reasoning. All right.
It's who you've watched. Not your
I know
mate.
that's what I said. I've got stories with it as well. Right, so we'll go from 1 to 13, shall we? Go through it. So I picked Luke Cresswell at fullback, purely because I knew you buggers had picked Gary Broadbent, and probably rightly so. Nothing wrong with that. But I think on what we've seen of Luke over the last few years, people will say he is the best number 1 since Gary Broadbent, and it's as simple as that. How much more of his career has he got to keep going to possibly top Gary Broadbent? Will he ever top what Gary has achieved? we'll soon see, won't we? I don't think he's ever going to get that Super League career because of his job in the yard, but I think Luke Cresswell is a fantastic nomination for that number one spot. It was going through this as well. When you look at all the players that we've had in these positions through all the teams, like you just wish they were Cumbrian. It was some incredible players have done some of these shirts. It's mad, isn't it? And then you think, oh crap, I can't have him. He's not Cumbrian. But yeah, so for the most part, I think putting the backs together and stuff wasn't too tricky. There was plenty of options, shall we say. It was more putting the forwards together. But on my wings, I had a few choices. The first one I went was with James Nixon, purely because in his prime, partnered up with Liam Harrison in the centres, he was insanely good. Absolutely, I'll never forget the injury he got. I think he broke a leg or something like that. I think it was on the cameras and all when he was like
his arm.
Was it his arm? Yeah,
Becca's already mentioned it. Yeah, Becca mentioned it.
Yeah, that was Pete Nixon as well. It didn't really pick up after that, but he's got records galore, and it was T. Ritson that beat his records recently. But year on year, I think he still holds about 4, 5, 6 different seasons separately where he was a top try scorer, and rightly so. James Nixon is a legendary winger in a Raiders shirt. The other one, I had a few options. Now, I didn't know what we were choosing it based on. Like, was it for longevity? Was it for a certain season? There was the Paul Salmon. Some people might remember him of 2000. I think it was 2002, and one of his best seasons, and he scored. Was it 20 odd? Was it 20 odd tries in 30 something games, or the other way around? I can't remember. But it was a fantastic season. Obviously, T. Ritson's your loophole. But obviously, we know he wasn't born in Cumbria, so I tried to avoid that one and try and catch Andy out. I went with Aidy Gardner, based on the fact that, similar to T, although he was a bit younger, went and signed for Saints, but he made a career of it, and he played for Great Britain, but that career always started at Barrow. Now, I know his Barrow career wasn't huge, because he left at such a young age, but I think he's still quite an iconic ringer, and I think a lot of Barrow fans still talk about the name Aidy Gardner as well, and that short stint he did have as a youngster in a Barrow shirt, so that's the reason why. And again, there was plenty of options I could have put on the wing, but I chose Aidy Gardner just for that iconic status that he went to then get playing with Super League and with Great Britain. The centres, I could have flipped these around 1,000 times over. Phil Aki, I think, has played 1 to 13. I know Phil will be listening to this, probably watching this. I don't know if it's his preferred position. You'll have to let us know, but I just thought I'd stick him in there anyway, because it just made my life easier getting towards the end of the team. And Liam Harrison, of course, that combination he had with James Nixon for all them years. Again, Liam I could have placed in the second rows, but I kept him at centre purely because he made his name as a centre at Barrow, so I think it was only fair to keep him there. Harrison and Nixon will be a combination. I think the best we've seen since, arguably, Hakeem Maludi and T. Ritson. And we all know how they went on for a few years. So I think you've got to go back quite a while to remember the last proper decent partnership, and that was Harrison and Nixon. So that's why I've chose them. Now we go with 6 and 7. You will always pick, if you love him, if you hate him. Darren Holt will always be in a Barrow Raiders legendary team. It's as simple as that. And I know people are going to argue. I know people don't like him.
Oh, yeah, unless your name's Becca Thompson.
Yeah. And there's a few out there. He's got his haters, and I don't disagree with them as well. You know, but what he's done is incredible. Not just for Barrow, but for Carlisle as well. His numbers don't lie. It wouldn't surprise me if he was the next person to be immortalised in a statue or a plaque or something like that down at Craven Park. But Darren Holt, he always had to go there. The number 7, I went with Liam Campbell, just because. Again, there was a few I could have put in there. But I think Liam, when you think of mainstays, when you think of the times where we had the money and we never had the money, Liam Campbell always used to be hanging around, and he could still make his way into that team. So I think for me, that's why I put Liam Campbell in there, partnering up alongside Darren. It was a close one with Ryan Johnston, but I think with Ryan, I don't think we've seen the best out of him yet. He's had arguably 2 really good seasons with Barrow. It took him a while to cement that place in the team. Working alongside the likes of Jamie Dallimore and Carter and such. But I think injuries have almost hampered recently what could have been another fantastic season for him. So I think he's got an argument in a few years' time to get in that team. But for now, I'm going to stick with Liam Campbell from what he's done. Then we got to the tricky bit, which was the forwards. Brett McDermott, another one, a record breaker. Literally played in every position from 1 to 13. I was there when he came on with that number 1 shirt. Watching him try to get it off on the pitch was something else. I once interviewed him as well back on the radio back in the day. And he talked about that. It was a funny story. But yeah, Brett McDermott, again, arguably is always going to be known as a beast, as a prop for Barrow. And I think for the likes of you, Andy, and your age, it was the McDermott versus McDermott. Remember that game? Brett versus Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an iconic moment, wasn't it? I'll never forget when Barry got up and gave him a bit of a handshake for absolutely flattening him. And it's moments like that that Brett McDermott brings, and we'll never forget, you know. And alongside him, I went with Tom Walker. Again, I was flipping players around from prop to second row, possibly in the centres, and I just stuck Tom in there because I think he is, like Jordan just said, he's done a lot for all the Cumbrian teams, really. He's had about a year and a half fantastic seasons at Barrow, and I think once he is back up to his prime, we could see even more to come from Tom. And now Ellis has gone, we could see Tom step up and have probably, arguably, if he stays fit, his best year yet. Still to come. He's still got plenty of years left in him, but I think Tom Walker, for what he's done already and for what he's got to offer, I think it's fair that as a Cumbrian, Tom goes in there. And as the hooker, Nathan Mossop. I mean, there is an argument that you could sit there and think, well, how many actual Cumbrian hookers have we had over the last recent years anyway that deserve a spot? And obviously there'll be the older people in there that are going to shout all the names out to me. But I think Nathan Mossop's been in the team that long over the last, 10 plus years in a Raiders shirt before his retirement. It's hard to argue that anybody else can go there. I was kind of hoping that Andy Ellis was Cumbrian, but it's not. I still love them days when Andy Ellis was there. But for me, Nathan Mossop, again, another one that's been there when the club's been on a high, when the club's been on a low, but he's always been around. You know, he's been a great starter. He's been great off the bench. He's just been great, a great servant for the club as well. And he still goes down there now with his dad, Steve, and he's still got a lot to offer. I think he's going to be part of the coaching team, hopefully, as well. If he can get himself back medically fit and stuff. And yeah, I love Nathan Mossop, and I think he's another guy that we'll be talking about in another 30, 40 years. So that was why I put Mossop in at the nines. Now then, we're going to have an argument with some people why I went with my second rowers. Firstly, I put Ellis in because I know he's played in a few positions, but we were trying to clutch away who I could put in these roles. So I stuck Ellis in there in at second row alongside Stuart Rhodes. People will be thinking, why the hell have you got Stuart Rhodes in there? Right, for me, when I was a young boy, right, my mum became secretary of the club. A lot of the guys you would see either in her office or the pop round for wages or whatever they were doing. I'll never forget the moment that Stuart Rhodes came round the house, and he was an absolute unit. I'm talking prime Stuart Rhodes here. I must have been, 10 or something like that. And he turned up with this family-size bucket KFC thing. And as he sat there talking to my mum and dad, he's just absolutely munching away. And mum's like, well, you better get that tea on, for the kids and that. And he's like, nah, this is my tea. And he just demolished a full family bucket of KFC in front of me. And
no wonder he's your hero.
Honestly, what a guy. What a tank. And then, the name as well. The name's quite iconic as well. He may not have been the greatest, I won't lie, but to me, and for my personal reason, I'll never forget that moment with Stuart Rhodes, and then seeing him on the pitch. If he went a season without a red card, he was doing well, I suppose, Stuart. But he was a bit of an enforcer on the pitch, a bit of a bully, and I think a lot of teams need a bit of a bastard in the team now and again, and Stuart Rhodes was that guy. And for a lot of reasons, for me as a fan growing up as a youngster, he always stood out to me on the team sheet. So that's why I put Stuart in there in the second rows. And then finally, I went with Dan Toll. Dan Toll was me 13. Again, there's an argument it could have been a few different people. I was trying to find out if Aspinwall was Cumbrian, but he wasn't. He's from Lancashire. Well, Wigan Weir, I think. So, but Dan Toll again. It's a shame that he ended his career like he did because of that horrible injury. But I think he was a very underestimated and undervalued player, Dan Toll. When he played and when he was fit and in form, he was fantastic. And he was a bit of a utility as well. He could jump all over the field. But that's one of the reasons why I stuck him in at loose. You know, there's an argument that Phil Atkinson could have gone there as well. But for me, Dan Toll, I just, for what he's offered to the club as a utility guy, I think he'd make a great 13 for Barrow. And that was my Cumbrian-based selection for Barrow, which is going to cause a few arguments and a few opinions off people, but that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Correct. All right, should we go into my 13 now? I don't think mine's too controversial, to be fair. I'm not going to take the stance of what Becca said, if I'm right, and if you don't like it, go forth and multiply. But
she didn't quite say that, did she? Essentially, if you don't like it, you can don't listen. And I'm like, no, don't say that. don't be saying things like that. But yeah, essentially, if you don't like it, you can lump it. Where I know Becca's Johnny joking, but I think we'll have a debate about all this and it will fit into a Cumbrian 13, I think, at some point, won't we?
I think that's one for next week, definitely. I'm not here for it, so I'll trust one of you to do all the hosting duties, and I might leave you a couple of voice notes to add in or something like that. Maybe while I'm on holiday with my family, I'm sure they'll appreciate it.
SpeakPipe. Get yourself on SpeakPipe. Leave some comments on SpeakPipe. SpeakPipe. Did I mention we have SpeakPipe.com?
Is that the Mario? Isn't that the Mario thing?
That's the thing that Mario went down. Yeah. Oh,
poor Becca.
God, Christ. Right. So I think with no shock there, Gary Broadbent at fullback. For me, I think he's probably one of the best fullbacks Cumbria's had. Especially, like, you know what I mean? I remember him being at Whitehaven, and I didn't like him. Obviously, like the same sort of, like, for that villainy sort of aspect. If there was any trouble, he was always in the middle of it. Wasn't there? He was a wind-up merchant, a bit of a shithouse sort of thing. But it don't look it, but I think the bloke was hard as nails. I remember him getting thrown into that concrete wall against Halifax.
I remember that as well.
Got knocked, like, this is obviously before the HIA and everything. Got sparked out. I think he was on oxygen and everything, like stretched off the pitch. Half time happens and he's back out in the second half playing again. Obviously, it won't happen now, would it? But,
oh no, he'd have about 6 weeks out. No, it just wouldn't happen, would it?
It's just hard as nails, and even then, like, you think, he might miss a beat here, and he's still on every high ball, safe as houses, hitting everything in sight. He was just, I think he was like sort of one of them that's just a once in a generation sort of player, and yeah, I think, like, our backline got significantly weaker when he retired.
Can I ask you a question, Andy?
Yeah, go on.
I just want to, mid-controversy, just because age-wise, you're in between me and Becca, right? With obviously Gary Broadbent, the controversy was me with putting Luke Cresswell. If there was a third, who would it be?
What, a Cumbrian or just fullback?
Cumbrian fullback. Is there a third option?
I can't think, to be honest. The only one who got me head's Camo Ganley, but he was just not Cumbrian.
Yeah.
I think Ballard played there for a bit. Freddie Zeta, yeah, Christ. With his little red mohawk on it.
It's tricky, isn't it? There'll be people listening now screaming names out of us, I'm sure. But, I mean, it's tricky. I know Broadbent will always be number one and at the minute Luke number two, but it's hard to think of a third Cumbrian. This is why we struggle when we put this Cumbrian team together.
But I am going to be controversial. I think Cresswell will end up better. And obviously, I think he's 29, 30. But what you've seen from his attacking play, especially this year, I think Broadbent was safe as houses at the back, but Cresswell's attacking game's just miles better. And I think we'll sort of maybe look. I think obviously Broadbent was part of that team that won a lot in 2009. So it might be why I'm looking back on that fondly as well. And like I said, he's just had a class career. But I think when you look at the stuff that Cresswell does as well, I might have been a bit harsh to him, but I think it's sort of, for me, I just had to put Gary in there for sentimental reasons, I think, more than anything else, because I just look back at that team and I just smile every time.
I think Gary was more of a natural talent, if that makes sense. Luke's more of a self-taught talent. Oh, it's almost like the Ronaldo-Messi debate, isn't it? Messi was just born with it. Ronaldo made it. That's why he's still going at his age. And I think that's probably the argument between the two. I think the way that Luke, we do commentary on him, and he can just read every player's playbook. But he's been in the team for that long and played with the majority of them players for that amount of time. That's why he is as good as what he is. Whereas Gary I think you could stick Gary in any team and he'd just do a job because it's Gary Broadbent. You know what I mean?
like when we're doing comps, we run out of superlatives for him, don't we? Really, with Cresswell because
He's unreal, unbelievable.
He's class. But yeah, I do sort of semi-apologise for. Well, no, I don't because, like I said, I'm looking at this with a bit of sentimental sort of side of it as well. You know what I mean? And I look back at that time with that team, and yeah, it just makes me smile. You know what I mean? Sort of makes you miss them days a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So continuing the back line, he was born in Thailand. Well, he's represented Cumbria, and yeah, T Ritson, like he's just, and the other one's James Nixon. Imagine them two on your wings now. It's just it's not that that's the top of the league team just with them two wingers. You know what I mean? And then when you look at like obviously I know Maludi helped him a lot with that as well because Maludi was just complete jack in the box. He didn't know what was going to happen. I don't think he knew what was going to happen. Somehow T had a crystal ball in his pocket and knew every single time what was going to happen. And it was just that side of it. And then obviously like James Nixon with Liam Harrison. I look back at that team when you had Ostler in the second row. Obviously I know he's not Cumbrian, so he's not on this, but you had Ostler, Harrison, and Nixon. And every time you saw Ostler semi-break the line, you knew Harrison was going to be there, and you knew that was it. Nixon was going to be in. And you normally see this happening from the halfway line or in our own half, and we just break away. And there's no catching James Nixon, and that's for me. That's two of your fastest guys in rugby league there, just on your wings. Touching it there, Liam Harrison, the bull. I think I can't think of us having a better centre than him. To be honest with you, I think he's even that. He turned down Widnes to stay at Barrow as well when Widnes were looking at doing the Super League sort of side of it.
He turned down a few offers. Obviously, it's Liam. It was his job and his family that kept him over here. But again, Liam will arguably always be one of them players that was good enough for Super League and just never did it. He just stuck it out with Barrow. And there's a few players like that you can argue from years and years gone by. Liam, for me, was a definite. He had the quality to go like his brother and do Super League, and he stuck it out with Barrow, and he became legendary amongst all teams in the Championship for years. Everyone knew who Liam Harrison was. Yeah. Everybody knew Liam Harrison.
Who's like you sort of, if you could sort of put a perfect rugby player together with all the attributes, it was like the size, the stature, the speed, the hands. He had it all, didn't he? Really. I don't know what his kicking game was like because I can't remember seeing it. But you know, to me, if you wanted to sort of the blueprint of the perfect rugby player, it's probably Liam Harrison. On the opposite centre, I put Ryan Shaw in there. I think he's done a bit of a stint there for us as well, and for his goal kicking abilities as well. You know, I don't think there's many better than him really in the Championship or League One.
It's a sure thing.
It's a sure thing, baby.
It's a sure thing.
Halfback wise, we can't go without Darren Holt, can we? Absolute Cumbrian legend, especially at halfback. So my scrum half, I was on the fence between Liam Campbell again because of the sentimental side of it, and you know he's one of them. He's been with us through thick and thin, really, sort of through the good side of it and the bad when everything went wrong at the club. But then I think like John O as well. I've talked about quite a bit when we do comms and early days in this as well. For me, I think he's going to be a quality player. With a couple more years under his belt, I think, obviously we're not seeing the best of him this year because he's had his back injury and he had a calf injury, something he had as well. So unfortunately, we couldn't see the best of him. And I think if we did see the best of him, I think we'd probably finish a bit more comfortable this year as well. My front row of the Spartan Brett McDermott, he's one of my favourite. I'd say one of my favourite props, one of my favourite Barrow players of all time. To be honest with you, I always look back at whenever we played Widnes or Halifax, him and Jim Gannon. We every single time could just guarantee them going at each other, and I just remember it causing me like a young teenage Andy absolutely hating Jim Gannon, like only purely for rugby aspects, no other reason, just because obviously like he's a proper shithouse when it came to them two, and I sort of miss that because there's no other player that makes me sort of feel like that anymore. Do you know, like a proper villain that you see him straight away, just gets you back up.
Yeah,
I can't think of anyone in the pro game that makes me feel like that anymore. And that's probably what I would say about rugby, sort of the romance and the going out the game and the game going a bit sort of stale. But yeah, so Brett McDermott, Nathan Mossop, we've touched on him as well. Unfortunately, his career was ended a bit shorter than what we want, or what everyone would have hoped. Like you said, hopefully he's back down with the coaching side of it. But especially when we lost Andy Ellis to Harlequins at the time he went to. Yeah. And that was sort of a massive sort of void he had to fill. And I just think he just stepped straight into it. He was his sort of on rotation with Andy Ellis anyway. But I think he just sort of stepped up there and just got better as the seasons went on. And yeah, I think we landed quite lucky having Josh Wood there, but he's been a massive miss, hasn't he, Mosser? I imagine he's a massive miss around the change room as well for the lads. Completing me front rows, Tom Walker. I don't think we've seen the best of him so far in his spell, but like we've touched on before, he's had a bit of an injury ravaged season, hasn't he, so far? But it's definitely his first spell at Barrow. I thought, yeah, what a quality forward he was. Going into my second rows, we've got Dan Toll, another one who's sort of got cut short with his injuries, really, which is a bit gutting because I think he's one of them who's getting better and better, and I don't think we saw him, or I don't think he got to be at his full peak with his injury, but he's on the back end of everything, really, sort of how Luke Cresswell is now. Anytime there's a line break, Dan Toll was always there with the support player, wasn't he? But yeah, and then the other second row was Ellis Gillum. Massive fan of his. Gutted he's gone. Hopefully it works out well for him. And but yeah, that's my second row. And I remember seeing him play here when I was young.
You haven't watched Phil Lackey.
I have watched Phil Lackey back when he was playing with like Dave Clark, Darren Holt, Chris Archer. Freddie Zitter and everything as well. It was very, very early me. It was when I first came to Barrow, to be fair, when I moved to Barrow about 2003, something like that. 2003, I think I moved to Barrow. So yeah, 2002, 2003. So it was the back end of his career, like. But yeah, I've seen him play. Yeah.
I'll let you off.
So you touched on before, Jordan, before we started going to our teams, that you had a bit of that you went to pre-season with Whitehaven and had a bit of a crack with Muzzer.
Yeah, caught up with him on Saturday. It was the first time I was able to get down. I was on late shifts last week, so it was the first time I'd sort of seen pre-season training. And they were all coming out just beforehand because I was down there majority of the day, and they're all coming out to sort of changing rooms and such things. And go, don't know who you are. Don't know who you are. Don't know who you are. I'm gonna have to learn these names pretty bloody quickly. I think there's only one player that Whitehaven have kept, which is mental, isn't it? When you think about it, you think about players, coaches like to try and keep squads together and sort of such things like that. But obviously, there's that much upheaval at Whitehaven, hasn't there? So I'm looking at, don't know who you are. Don't know who you are. I know who you are, but that's only because you've been here before. Like a Jordan Burns and such things like that. And even when like some of the lads that I do know that I've seen play for Kells and such things, I go, right, which one are you then? And such things like that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting few weeks and getting to know these lads before the pre-season fixtures, which I think Whitehaven are hoping to announce this week who they've got in pre-season. You'd expect the 8th fixture, but I think that's just going to determine what date that's going to be and where else they're going to end up in sort of pre-season. But yeah, caught up with Muzzer earlier this week, just got all things pre-season and get his thoughts on his side's first week in the off-season. Muzzer, thank you very much again for joining us on the Odd Shaped Balls podcast. Your time is always very much appreciated. Being down to here today at the Ortis Rec, the recreation grounds, sort of first week of pre-season complete now. I know it was a little bit delayed for yourself due to the weather last week, but lads, you've got 3 full sessions in now as a staff, as a squad, as a coaching group. What's his first week been like?
I've been absolutely delighted with how the lads have applied themselves, the shape and how they've come back into pre-season training as well. They've come back in good shape. The enthusiasm, the intensity, the talk between the players, the camaraderie between the players and coaching staff has been, been absolutely fantastic. And I'm really pleased with how the lads have started. Really trained hard. Really bought into everything on the field, but what's really been pleasing to see is how much they're encouraging each other when some tough stuff we're doing out there about the players really getting behind the teammates who they can see maybe a couple of struggling and sort of encouraging them to really work hard and finish the drill off and things like that. So really pleased and quite excited really what moving forward.
Essentially a completely new group in terms of obviously the coaching side, the staff, and obviously the majority of the players there as well. I imagine that it's going to bring its unique set of challenges, but also a unique set of opportunities for yourself over the next 6-7 weeks before you head into them pre-season games.
Yeah, it's a brand new team, and it's also we've got like a large parts who have never sort of played at professional level before, and that does bring its own challenges, but it also brings excitement as well. and it's an opportunity. These players are like sponges, soaking in new information. It's important that we don't overwhelm them as well, and really focus on certain areas in each different training session, and build that process as well. You just got to put your processes in place and build slowly on what you want to do defensively, what you want to do attacking wise, and players understanding that without feeling a little bit overwhelmed and sort of a bit of an air in the headlights sort of situation. And that all comes down to communication, talking to the players and breaking things down. And we've gone over quite a lot of that this week, and I've been really pleased with the skill set as well that the players have shown, and sort of took to it sort of straight away. And then we'll just keep building on that week in and week out. Keep adding a little bit more in each time we train, but the one thing that has never lacked is any sort of intensity or enthusiasm. So that's a really good sign, and I'm really pleased.
I know when we've spoke previously, obviously when you were first announced, you mentioned rebuild was a big word, and how you were going to go local, and obviously that's now come to the front, it's come to the fore, and obviously you've got to be happy with the buy-in that you've had, obviously, because it can take, initially there was obviously the Kells lads that were announced, but then when it was more and more players sort of coming in, is that helped you when you were speaking to players or speaking to whoever you were looking to try and bring in? Is it, look, we've got a number of players stepping up, you can be a part of this as well, you can make that step up?
Yeah, definitely. It was totally my train of thought, was to go as local as I could, and I think when different players saw other players sort of sign in and knowing them players as well, playing against them, I think I got the impression that some of the players were thinking, well, I think I could sign there as well. I think I could do that too, and that was been quite apparent as well. Really seeing the mate sign and then thinking, well, if he's going out, I think I'm going to throw my hat into the ring too and take that opportunity, and that's been really good as well. So yeah, just really pleased that I think out of the 26-man squad that's currently signed, I think 19 are from the Cumbrian area. And then we've got about 4 or 5 on trial as well. So we've had about 30 odd lads sort of down, and the majority of them are Cumbrian based. So that's great to see, and it's great for the club moving forward on a sustainability point of view and for the future of this club. So I'm really pleased.
And obviously, being the podcast that we are, the Cumbrian based podcast, obviously, it's great to see that a number of them Cumbrian locals that are wanting to sort of step up, but you must be happy as well, obviously, with the buy-in that you've had from, say, the likes of Kells and Millen, where obviously, a number of players have come from there, and a number of players have come from there that these community clubs maybe not that they may do, but that they haven't stepped in and said, well, actually, we may be losing too many players here, that they're happy that for the lads to progress, because that's what it's all about. That's what them community clubs are there for. It
is, but it's also, we've got to approach the community clubs, through the right channels, and that's what we have done. I'll always make sure I speak to the head coach who's at that club, and it's massively important to me that we build up good relationships. Because I've been a community coach, that's the route I came from. I started coaching at 29, and I was in the community game till I was 36 before I got my opportunity to coach at pro. And I always felt it was important that as a community coach, that if a local professional team is interested in some of your players, then you should speak to the coach who's put that time and effort, and the club who's put that time and effort into those players. And I want to build relationships with local teams around here. Moving forward, I'm looking to have joint training sessions where we all train together and then we go against each other, and the more local players you've got and the more buy-in you get with the community teams, and the more upfront and honest you are and your approach is always respectful, then then people have got to come through the gate and watch, and they want to be part of what we're doing. And ultimately that's my aim and my goal. And I want through the course of the summer, I love going around watching the games around here through the course of the summer. It's good fun, it's really vibrant, and all these community clubs you go to, the facilities are really good, the people that run them are really good, and and some of the clubs are a good pint as well. So yeah, I really look forward to getting out and about in summer, and I'll be going to as many games as I can.
And I can really attest to that fact. I know when I've been covering a number of community NCL games, I have seen you at them games, so I can say you are there, and I know you are keeping.
I enjoy it as well. I love watching community game, and I just love watching the people who are involved there and what it means to them. To be involved at their club and how proud they are to make sure that it's run right, the field's in good condition, and the players are looked after, and all these people do it voluntary. And it's always something that's been close to my heart, and especially with my own experiences through community game.
won't be a million miles away, or a million miles away till we're on the field actions back up and running. I know Whitehaven are hoping to announce sort of pre-season fixtures in the next sort of 7 to 10 days. Your pre-season preparation heading into them league fixtures, you happy with where that stands at the moment?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. You know, we've got obviously quite a few sessions to get in before Christmas, and then there's always a bit of a break over Christmas. I'm a big believer in, it's family time that over that Christmas period. The players will have things set for them to do. So really looking forward to really working the players hard right to the Christmas break. They get a little bit of a Christmas break and then back into action in January when it all starts. So yeah, happy with the preparation side of it. Happy with the sort of games that will be coming up in January that have not been announced yet. So yeah, really happy with where we are, and hopefully that'll carry on.
And of course, as we were speaking earlier this week, that the League One fixtures were announced. You've got to play everyone at some time, but some will look obviously maybe a tricky start. Obviously, Swinton, who come down from the Championship last season, and Keighley, who many weren't expecting to be in this position sort of this season. It's a tricky couple of games.
Yeah, I think if you look at sort of Swinton, they're probably in a little bit of a similar situation to us in terms of the recruitment. They've targeted quite a lot of young players who have been in good systems, maybe been released from Super League clubs and then wanting that opportunity. And obviously they've signed a couple of senior players. They also have really strong links with the Super League clubs around them. Not too sure whether they might be dual reg with St Helens this time. So that'll be a real good link for Swinton. And Keighley, aren't they? They'll obviously wanting to be at top at tree this year, and they'll want that automatic promotion spot. We've sort of missing out on it last year, and you can see on their recruitment drive that they're totally focused on doing that. But I don't sort of dwell too much or focus too much on the opposition. My total focus is on what we're doing and how we come across and how we sort of play. As much as I do show respect to those teams, my focus is totally just about what we're doing, and I'm quite excited of where we're going to be and how we're going to come across.
Bit of Dan's trivia now, or Jordan's trivia, since you dropped the ball last week, Dan, massively.
Wow.
Should I pick up first then?
No, let's give him a kicking first.
Let's give him a kick.
We'll slag him off. We'll slag him off first, and then we'll go into the feature. So not only did you could not come, like you threw a massive paddy because I went onto the socials. I forgot. I'll hold my hand up. I did have it written down. I just forgot. And then so you throw your paddy, and I thought, right, well, he's going to have a good question lined up here. Obviously, we'll go over the answer and everything like that. Go through the background a bit. Right, go on. Then, what's the next question? Oh, I don't have one. And then the one you do give us, we literally give the answer away on the transfer special before that. So, all you had to do was listen. You'd have known. You didn't get what happened to think. And then, luckily enough, Jordan comes to the rescue for the feature. Your feature, I'll say. And Jordan has to come and bail your feature out. And what was the question, Jordan?
I don't know, what was it? Oh no, I remember now, sorry. In
Shithouse.
When Cumbria won the Rugby League Nines at Headingley, and I said so many years ago, I believe it was 2012. When Cumbria won the Rugby League Nines at Headingley in 2012, who did they beat? And the answer was Featherstone Rovers. 12-10 in the final. A late try from, was it Mike Backhouse? Did he get in touch? Someone say it was Mike Backhouse that scored a late try, or Brett Card? It was one of them. It was a Barrow member, let's say that, who scored a late try to win it late on. But yeah, when Cumbria ruled the Rugby League world, the Nines Rugby League world at Headingley.
And congratulations to Graham Stewart, who's given us the answer for that as well. So yeah, thank you for doing
I think he was involved. I think he was important to the backroom staff somewhere.
Oh, so he's cheating then?
He might have been. I might be wrong there, because I might be completely wrong. But I'm sure he's been involved with sort of backroom and staffs before, so I'm not too sure whether he was part of that one. But
so he's feel like he did.
Well, because Phil Lackey knows everything, as we've found out and worked out. So yeah, he might have done. I might be wrong, but I think no. He said he was there. He was there on the night. Was Graham. So no, I know he's been part of backroom staffs before, but it might not have been part of that one on that night. But he said he was there on that night at Headingley, so that's how he remembered it.
So there's a little bonus point there. What was the nickname?
Oh, here we go.
Go on, Penny.
Right, so it was the Cumbria Devil Goats. Now, we were expecting to have a bit of a voice note, weren't we, in regards to this Devil Goats conversation. and back, he did get in touch, and I'm trying to find the conversation now. He hasn't. Can we talk about the conversation where it came from?
Yeah, of course we can. Go on, why not?
Yeah. So
maybe certainly certain elements out, like just.
I don't know. It's all right. I think.
No, it's all right. It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah. So Backy got in touch, and he said obviously they played away at town, one of the games at a night match, and he was on his way home, going at the perfect speed limit he put over Corneyfell. And in the dark, they seen some big red eyes in the middle of the road. When they got a little bit closer, they put the brakes on. Turned out it was a goat. He said it must have been a devil goat, and Haney said we should just use that and call ourselves the Devil Goats. So it was Haney and Backy that come up with the name the Devil Goats, and he went and won the tournament with that nickname, the Cumbrian Devil Goats.
I reckon some high-pitched squealing went on in that car when they saw the red eyes, you know.
Absolutely.
I reckon they were going to squeal then. To go and do a nickname off the back of that, there's definitely been some fear there, and then they've just realised they've been scared by a goat.
stuck atop of Corny, seeing these red eyes with probably no phone signal atop of Corny, doing the perfect speed limit. Yeah, and look, yeah, there's definitely been a story there somewhere that, like, yeah, that hasn't just come from, oh, we've seen a goat, oh, I know, Cumbria Devil Goats. No, it's definitely not coming. There's been a story there about something, hasn't there, that he's not quite telling us.
So this week's trivia.
Oh, you've got one this week, have you? Oh, my God.
I have, yeah. Do you want it? Do you want it now? You ready?
I'm ready. Wait.
This is one that probably feel like you'll have to get in touch because they're not too sure how many are going to get this one. Born in 1972, which West Cumbrian player played for all 4 Cumbrian clubs? That includes Carlisle. Also had spells with Leigh, Bradford, Swinton, Salford, Halifax, Widnes, and Blackpool in a pro career lasting over 16 seasons. There you go. That's digging deep for that one, shall we say?
He didn't run around long anyway, did he? Christ. How many clubs in 16 seasons? Was that 9 clubs in 16 seasons? He didn't get too comfortable.
List, yeah.
So he played for all...
Can we do some questions?
Played for all 4 and then played for...
All 4 Cumbrian clubs, and then Leigh, Bradford, Swinton, Salford, Halifax, Widnes, and Blackpool in a pro career lasting over 16 seasons.
So we're talking starting early 90s and finishing maybe very late 80s, aren't we? Talking, if you're talking, then Blackpool being in the mix there as well.
Did he start off? Did he start off at Cumbria, and then, or did he finish at Cumbria? Or was it like scattered in between?
I don't have a bloody clue, do I?
I think I know.
I think we're going to have to like sort of change this just to trivia or Steve Andrews trivia with help from Jordan when Dan doesn't get hold of him. Because you're coming on like spouting all this like you're some sort of fountain of knowledge, and then you've not got the sort of research behind it to back it up.
I can't wait for Andy's trivia next week, smart ass. Let's see how you get on.
He's not here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm on order.
Bottled it already. I'll get Backy to send us some trivia questions in. That'll be interesting.
That still won't be you giving the trivia, though, will it? You just be reading the question out. Someone else's hard work.
Oh well, I'll come up with some stuff then, shall I?
I've got one.
Like what?
I've got one for the future week.
Yeah, we'll use this one for now, and then we'll share it. We'll share it around. We have got to give credit once again to Steve Andrews. He does send in some fantastic trivia questions for us, the Barrow Raiders club historian. It's just unfortunate that Phil Lackey knows them all. Phil Lackey's got the answer book in his house, I think.
Not just Phil Lackey knows this one. Excuse me, hold on. I know. I've just said I think I know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, we'll let you off for this one.
What do you mean you'll let me off?
That could be a clue for the listeners out there that Jordan Weir knows this one. Which West Cumbrian player?
So how can he be a West Cumbrian player when he's played for everyone?
Well, he was born in West. Right. Well, in West Cumbria, yeah. I'll rephrase that. Yeah.
Because we do have roads up the west. You know, we are allowed to travel. We aren't allowed to get out on some occasions, you know. It may take us 45 minutes to get to bloody Penrith to get on the motorway, but we are allowed to travel.
Well, whether you welcome's a different sort of side of it. You can't.
Oh, yeah. Behave yourself.
Every road's got sort of a doormat on the way out, hasn't there? So wipe your feet on the way out. Oh, I'm never visiting West Cumbrian on away games.
You're banned. That's it.
Mate,
You're banned. You better hope we're not in your 1895 cup group. You better hope it's not up here. Oh. You're not getting in.
I might have to duck any work at the friendlies, and if we get you and a friend, I might have to duck that one as well. I just listen from home because I'm a big coward.
Shithouse.
So, speaking of which, should we go to Kangaroo Court?
Yeah, go on then.
Perfect. See that, Jordan? See, you set them up, mate. I'll just knock them down.
Second time tonight.
I can't remember who Becca gave it to. Well, she gave Darren Holt one, didn't she?
She gave Darren Holt as an old one, yeah.
She gave Darren Holt shit out.
Yeah, because he wanted to do a kicking comp with her because he was injured. I think he's been modest and not wanting to sort of embarrass the young girl on the pitch. But no respect for Cumbrian legends, is there?
How dare she?
I can't remember if she gave her the other one too. I completely forgot, to be honest with you. I think I'm still raging about the Darren Holt comment.
I did in post editing.
So, Dan, we'll start for you.
My shit house. Well, I'm gonna get. I might get some stick for this.
Oh no! What?
I'm gonna put the Barrow Raiders social media team as my Kangaroo Court shit house for the week.
Oh, that's blue on blue. That.
Oh, yeah.
You don't go for it, Sean.
In the nicest possible respect, only because I've been nudged as well. Paul Carey got a 2-page spread written fantastically well by Mark Blasey. He used to come and do some of the match reports for Barrow Raiders back in the day before he'd moved on to bigger and better things. And he was Rugby League. Is it Rugby League World, the magazine that they bring out every month? Yeah. Paul Carey got a 2-page spread in that this week, and not one mention of it online. Not one. So he rang me up and said, "Can I go and do it?" I was like, "All right." Shit helps me. I ain't done it yet, but I'll go and do it. I'll go and do it after this, so I don't get in trouble. But fancy getting that, and I'm not bloody putting it out for him. Shame on you.
We'll do the good thing, and we'll put the link up for it as well if it's online. Because we're good like that. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean,
we'll share it on our social media, and then we'll spread it on from ours.
Yeah. Because we're good like that. Yeah. Unlike the Barrow Raiders social media, who Dan's got stuck into. That's Dan.
Oh dear.
I'm a big fan of our social media and all the other social media, unlike you, Dan.
Sorry, I've just had a notification come through. You've just been removed as admin.
Oh well, that's you in Cress's Kangaroo Court next week if you can't post it.
Oh. I mean, John, you're involved on the social media side. It's a bit harsh, that comment, wasn't it?
Yeah, but if you know your head coach has got a big interview coming up, you make sure you mention it when you know it's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's something, yeah. Go on, Andy, go on. I'll go last this week. Go on.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I'm doing this, with because I've been enjoying it, so I want it to carry on. So please do carry on. But Ghost of Uncle Fester. On the forums, we have been getting an absolute hiding off it for weeks, haven't we? What was it last week? I was expecting Dan to burst into advertising more because he vaped that much. I was expecting to unveil UW's new initiative, the Electric Blue Vape Bar. We'll get
Oh dear.
Jordan has a lovely floral arrangement above his head. Hope that's yeah. That's right. He's nice, that. But he likes you. He's sticking. This is doing this in the back. Are you the Ghost of Uncle Fester?
I haven't got that much time on
me. We get a hiding. You get the nice stuff. I'll carry on for now. Obviously, we touched this one before. This one tickled me. Becca looks like she's broadcasting from a prepubescent boy's bedroom, stacked with toy cars, and probably a special sock under the bed for his key.
Oh dear.
Are we allowed to put this out?
You're all gonna. Oh,
Yeah, it's out now. It's out now.
Oh, Christ.
The more I see Andy, I'm convinced he's morphing into an American big game hunter wandering the hills of it.
Oh, you look like it. You look even more like it this week. You've took it on. You've took it on full thing, haven't you?
I know. I've took that off this week. I was hoping that I sort of get rid of that, but it's not worked. That's it. And then we had this week's ones for him again. Glad that I wasn't the only one to notice Becca's Thailand. Was a shame there wasn't a part 2, but I guess you've got as many toys that you need time to play it. Does now explain why my lights were flickering and a faint sound of diesel generator, but anyway. Don't be too Ash and Jordan busted at Dan's Rio trivia. He's an integral part of the cast that brings loads of a young Joaquin Phoenix in Gladiator looks and the gravelly up close Chewbacca voice. Wait. This is you. This is definitely you.
How is it me?
Because me and Penny got a kick in again. Like, can't go without leaving out Dan and Tom or your fab. Would be like leaving Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks out of British wrestling. I had to Google that. I thought, I've been done here.
Right.
Oh shit,
But
I've been done dirty.
if you've had to Google that, I'd have had to Google that. So you know it's not me.
I'm guessing I wasn't Big Daddy.
No, I don't imagine.
I'm guessing I was the Giant Haystacks. You were Big Daddy, Penny.
I'll go with it.
I'm just going with that for the beard because I don't have his hair. But maybe not his waistline just yet. Get it there. But yeah, thanks to the Ghost Uncle Fester for that. Please continue because
I do enjoy it.
I do enjoy it, and it's just funny watching Becca have a meltdown. They're not ties. They're not ties. I'm not taking them out of the box. I'm not taking them out of the box. I ruined the value. Your kangaroo court now then, Jordan?
It's got to be Becca, hasn't he? Just for trying to get anyone in that. Is Jared Stack Cumbrian? Apart from the fact he was born in New Zealand, no. Is Andy Ballard Cumbrian? No. Joe Bullock, he's from Blackpool. It's just she was trying anything and anyone to try and get anyone in that count team.
She tried to have a go for not put. I can't believe you haven't put Joe Bullock in your team. Oh yeah, from Blackpool.
Yeah, he's from Blackpool. that Cumbrian enclave is Blackpool. It was like, yeah. So no, mine's Becca Thompson because for her lack of geographical knowledge, let's say.
Bless her.
Honestly, yeah, but yeah, no, and then the fact that she could only do till 9:05. It was a really random time, wasn't it? It wasn't 9 o'clock. It wasn't 10 past. It wasn't 1:15. I can only be with you till 9:05. Why 9:05?
And then ran over.
And then ran over. And it was like, just honestly, God, typical woman. Oh, can I say that these days? Probably not. Sorry, Becca.
If you want, if you're looking to counsel us or you want to find out who that was, it's Jordan Weir. So just for all the abuse and hate to him. Chauvinistic pig.
Oh, thanks, man.
This week's podcast comes with a walk warning. Thanks to Jordan
Weir. I'm putting in kangaroo court for that bloody owl. Was it that owl clock that was behind it as well? She changed scenes this week, so the Ghost of Uncle Fester couldn't take the mick out of her toy collection again next week. So yeah, she moved it, but then it was beige wallpaper and an owl clock. So I'm assuming the Ghost of Uncle Fester will have some sort of fun with that instead.
Well, I'm guessing the Ghost of Uncle Fester was going in and out of the door because it kept opening and closing. I'm assuming it was from the cat. But I thought, why is the dog doing that?
I noticed and I was like, why? I'm assuming there's some sort of animal coming through there, but then we couldn't say anything. But then a cat popped up halfway through her 13, didn't it? So, yeah.
I don't believe in ghosts or like that, but I was a bit like, oh, Becca, you want to get a priest round, kid?
Ghost of, there you go, Ghost of Uncle Fester. It's all coming together. It's Becca.
No, shout out this week's got to go to number one Odd Shape Balls fan, Steve Marshall. I promised him I'd give him a shout out for two reasons. One, he comments on everything we do. He's a big fan, listens every week. And two, I said to him, if you think the podcast is good, you should see the savings I can get you on your gas and lecky. Right? So not only, hear me out, it gets better. Not only did I thought I could do him a good favour, right? It turns out it was also his birthday when I texted him. No shame at all. And all his bills are already covered in his rent. So shame on me. never mind. So I promised him a shout out anyway because I apologise. I didn't realise he was celebrating his. We'll call it his 21st birthday because I like Steve. Yeah. That's me shout out for Steve Marshall.
Plus an awful lot of VAT.
Wow. Come on, Jordan. Stop bullying the people.
Happy birthday, Steve. I hope you had a good day, mate.
Yeah, thanks for listening, Steve. Much appreciated. Can only apologise about Penny and his predatory instincts when it comes to gas and lecky.
People have got it. That's making it cheaper.
Just don't message Dan. Just message the Facebook page or Jordan, or maybe not Jordan because he's become sexist over the last 5 minutes. I'm not letting that go.
That's getting clipped up, isn't it?
Yeah, I hope Becca gives you a right. I did.
This week's episode name: Don't message Jordan. He is sexist. Got it. There it is.
I've got an idea for the episode name.
Oh no, what have we got now?
Ghost of Uncle Fester.
Calling him out.
Call him out. Or she. We don't know. Don't know him or her. But yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of young Joaquin Phoenix as well.
It's just I don't know. We'll have to think about it off air, won't we? Anyways, we digress. Go on, Andy.
Special sock and Katy Perry posters. I think we got.
We're going to get cancelled.
Oh, you are. You're a bigot. Please follow us on our socials. And X, OS Balls RL. On Facebook, Odd Shaped Balls. TikTok, odd.shaped.balls.
Needs change.
That's been neglected as well. So she gave us that crap name and then neglected it.
That's why she's in Kangaroo Court.
The youth of today. YouTube, Odd Shaped Balls podcast, where you can watch this and see our lovely pale faces again. I'm not too pale in this sort of light. Still palish.
Not going to say what we were saying earlier on.
Nope.
You lost me? Okay. SpeakPipe, the thing that Mario went down. SpeakPipe.com. Search Odd Shaped Balls there and leave us a 90-second voice clip and we'll try and get you on the podcast. Yeah, it's been neglected, to be fair, that as well.
Absolutely.
Email, get hold of us at ospod@hotmail.com and our website where you can find all these episodes, all the download links, or if you just want to sort of click on it, you can listen to it on the website as well. It's osbpod.podbean.com. You think I remember that by now, but I don't
Should hope so.
Right, all else.
You set it all up.
I put it, I know, I still can't remember it. That's why it's all written down. I showed my book, but it disappears because of this background. I think that's it. We're happy.
See you soon, guys.
You're going to have to go without me next week. You're going to be able to call.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll manage.
Do we toss a coin now so you gets the hosting duties?
Well, let's be honest, it's me. Let's be honest.
Wow.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest, it's me, isn't it? So
yes, because one of them is a child, the other one acts like a child. So yeah, we're gonna have. And it'll just be riddled with UW constantly, and I can't subject anyone to that. It's sort of painful knowing you've been in multiple group chats and hearing about it
every 5 minutes. It'll just be a break for a UW advert, wouldn't it?
And there'd be no sponsorship with that either. You know what I mean? He shamelessly plugs his business, which is a local business he adds, who are headquartered down south. But he's a local business, and that gets plugged constantly. More than our main sponsor, Santa Marina, who sponsor for help us cover the run-ins and everything like that. Because really good people there and everything like that. Massive help to us. And there's you, who just shamelessly plugs your local business. It's headquartered down south.
I'm offended.
Not one penny goes towards sponsorship. Man. I've even played your little, your first day was, what was it?
Yeah, my advert.
Don't get him singing.
Don't.
I'll mute him. I'll mute him. Don't do it. I'll mute him.
With all these cheap utilities, the warehouse helps me thrive. That one.
That's the one.
Bye, guys.
Oh, that was horrific.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening.
Listen up to stories old, legends new and old.